I feel you. On the stage. It's funny about the microphone. Yeah. I used to be.
You want to test it?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a button.
I'll do it about 5. I guess I can do it. I will let him set it up.
Come on, sit down for a second for me. Let me see something.
Good, man. How are you? How are you? Good. I'm Will. Come on, nice to meet you. Absolutely. I know I've seen you here a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I go, like, I don't know. So,
Yeah.
everything good though? Oh, yeah. Awesome.
I love it.
Just try to fill up the time. I feel like it's the major brain. Like, we're not like constantly going, hey, talk about everything. It's like,
Are you streaming this?
Yeah.
Live?
Just
Okay, cool.
yeah.
I'll do my take once you get set up.
That's right.
Good. Somebody else as well. We'll do my presentation. Go and plug it in.
Are you gonna hear me?
Check one, check. Check one, check two, mic check. Check, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. Check. Am I good?
You can indeed. This is the live stream, so all our partner organizations all over the country can watch the event. How are you today? Oh, wow, good.
Thought I'd take a ride down.
Yeah.
Something different.
Yeah. Give me a good event. So see, everybody will be able to watch it. And like Dr. Watts, who can't come down, and that's a few other people.
I was debating, but I wanted to support.
Yeah.
I didn't know if reporters were still like
Some will. A lot of them will stay back with their camera.
A little bit.
Yeah, all good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Over here, maybe on. Good morning, everyone. We'll get started here in about a minute, so feel free to come on in if you're a journalist, and otherwise, feel free to squeeze in the back. This is good.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Josh Carpenter. I'm President and CEO of Southern Research. Today is an exciting launching program called Catalyst, and we're grateful to Lieutenant Governor and Dr. Harris for being here with us this morning to launch it. Catalyst is a genomic health program that will bring precision medicine to people across the state of Alabama. In just a few minutes, you'll hear from our Vice President of Medical Affairs and Patient Advocacy, Dr. Cleve Brown, who will explain the program in greater detail, and I would encourage you to save your hard questions for her. At Southern Research, we say we move science. Usually that means we move science from becoming a drug candidate to a drug that goes into the clinic. But today, what we're talking about is moving science across the state of Alabama. There are 67 counties in the state of Alabama, but too often the residents of just the 4 or 5 largest counties are the ones that get access to precision medicine. Today changes that. And it's fitting that we launched this movement here, this platform here, because we could not have done it without the support of leaders like Governor Ainsworth and the state of Alabama. So we're excited to launch it from the seat of our government. We believe that this program can be transformational, not just in terms of healthcare and driving greater access to precision medicine throughout the state, but also in creating jobs. And so it's my pleasure to introduce someone who's been a champion of that job growth, my friend, Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth.
Well, good morning. First, Josh, just on behalf of the state, just say appreciate everything you do, your visionary, your leadership. As y'all know, Southern Research CEO, he's very creative in finding opportunities to put Birmingham and the state on a national map, using his gifts certainly to do great things for our state. He's done a tremendous job in strengthening Birmingham's reputation as a nationally recognized medical community, and really excited about the future and just everything we're doing here to lay the groundwork. Southern Research, as you know, has been a national leader in drug discovery and development for over 80 years, and Alabama's leading the charge on the biomedical industry, and it's a large part of that because of your leadership. So thank you. The bioscience industry employs 8,000 people, over a $7 billion economic impact, one of the largest industries, a tremendous room for growth. Look at clinical trials, $50 billion industry in the U.S., expected to grow to $80 billion by 2030. And our goal is we want to plant a flag in Alabama as a national leader, and certainly think this is one of the ways we can do that. So thank you for your leadership there. More clinical trials in Alabama gives Alabamians access in all 67 counties to the most cutting-edge treatments available. It's going to grow our economy. It's going to create more 21st century jobs, improve our state's workforce by having a healthier workforce population. Chronic disease costs Alabama over $13 billion every year. So I want to thank Southern Research, thank Josh, thank your leadership team for finding innovative ways to grow our economy while also focusing on improving healthcare for Alabama. So thank you so much. And next, I want to turn it over to a good friend that does a great job, Dr. Scott Harris.
Thank you very much, Governor. Appreciate that. I appreciate your leadership on this issue. Josh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's great to be part of this. I'm Scott Harris from the Health Department. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today as this is being kicked off. Improving the health of people in Alabama is what we are about in public health. This is a real opportunity to help us and give us additional tools to help us do that. We particularly need help in managing chronic diseases. That's an area that takes a big toll on the health of Alabamians. Chronic diseases affect, in a really significant way, about 1 out of 10 Americans, impairing their ability to through their daily activities. Here in Alabama, probably 3 million out of 5 million people have some form of a chronic disease, maybe not completely impairing. And maybe 1 million Alabamians have more than one form of chronic disease. The leading chronic diseases that we see in our state are heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, and arthritis, and we have a lot of that. That sounds really way too familiar to all of us if you live here in Alabama. These conditions take a real toll on the quality of life that people have. They run up tremendous healthcare costs, which is a real problem for us as well. And as you heard Governor Ainsworth mention, they really take an economic toll on our state as a whole. So we all have an interest in trying to prevent and manage chronic diseases. Southern Research and Catalyst really offer an opportunity for us to do that. It'll take the latest advancements in precision medicine and in genomic medicine and make them available to people throughout the state, throughout all communities around the state. As Josh mentioned, some people have more access to that in some parts of the state than others, and we see this as a way to help change that. This gives people in communities everywhere information about their own health. It helps them manage their own medical decision making and helps their providers to take care of them. And certainly it arms them with information that may get them linked to clinical trials, which benefit all of us, including the people involved in those trials. So our guiding belief in public health is we just think everybody ought to have a fair shake, and you should have an opportunity to live a safe and healthy and productive life, no matter who you are, no matter your income or your race or what your zip code is. None of those factors should prevent you from enjoying your best life, being safe, being healthy. And we certainly see Catalyst as one of the ways for helping us to do that. So again, thank you very much for being here. At this time, I'm going to introduce Dr. Khalil Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Harris and Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth. Thank you to the media for being here today. I'd also like to thank the Southern Research Board and our Catalyst Advisory Boards for being here as well today. In a nutshell, Catalyst will bring free genomic testing to all of Alabama. We'll be working closely with primary care providers and women's health providers throughout the state. That will bring access to their patients to be able to opt into a simple blood draw. That blood draw will be sent to the Center for Clinical and Translational Science here in Birmingham. And from there, a sample will be sent on for sequencing and analysis through the My Own Personal Genome test. That test uses polygenic risk score technology and pharmacogenomics to inform patient care. The My Own Personal Genome test results will be sent back to the patient's healthcare provider to then be able to inform and be incorporated into the patient's healthcare. In addition, patients will be able to be notified of clinical trials that they are eligible for in their area, again, giving them access to cutting-edge technology, as Dr. Harris mentioned before. What's really nice about this test is that with ordering this test, every patient and every provider will have access to free genomic counseling. That will help healthcare providers inform and educate their patients around what their genetic test results are and what their risk may be. The patient's other de-identified sample will be securely stored at CCTS in Birmingham to power public health research and develop new treatments. So in a way, this allows Catalyst to serve as a bridge between the work that Southern Research is already doing and the patients who benefit from the work that we do. By participating in Catalyst, patients will not only be able to make informed decisions around their health care, they'll be empowered for themselves and their families, and they'll also be able to contribute to cures that will benefit patients of the future. Catalyst participants will also complete a social determinants of health screening that screens for 5 core health-related topics: housing, food, utilities, transportation, and personal safety. Providers will then be able to take this non-medical information, couple that with the patient's healthcare information, and then create a personalized treatment plan. In addition to today's events, we'll also be having community events throughout the state in Selma, Tuskegee, Demopolis, Mobile, Dothan, Jasper, and Florence to be able to provide more information to community members and allow patients to opt in. We're also working to connect with providers throughout the state who want to enable access to this test for their patients. For providers, they can gain more information at catalystbysouthernresearch.org to get more information on how to opt in for your patients. Our hope is that this will lead to better outcomes for patients today and for patients in the future. With that, I'd like to hand it back over to our CEO, Dr. Josh Carpenter, for our final closing statement.
Well, thank you, Dr. Brown. I could not be more excited about her leadership of this initiative as someone who was a primary care physician in rural Alabama before starting with us and then later in Jefferson County. She's the right leader for this. And both her and Dr. Oliver Hampton, our Chief Data Officer, have spent a lot of time and effort on it. I also cannot thank Governor Ainsworth enough for this because I think it's vision from people like him, but certainly him as an individual who has said, Alabama doesn't need to just be second or third or even 10th or 12th. We are 16th right now in clinical trials. We can be in the top 5. We can be first. And so it's efforts like these that are strategic and thoughtful that I think put us in a position to do that. And it's my hope and it's my plan that Southern Research can be a part of the broader vision of how health can be reimagined so that the lines between research and development and healthcare delivery aren't just blurred for the wealthiest among us, but as Dr. Harris said, that everyone has an opportunity in a fair shake at good health. So with that, we will stick around to take some questions. But again, thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to going around the rest of the state and making sure we launch successfully in each of those locations. But thank you for your time today, and thank you for being a part of what we think is an incredibly exciting day for healthcare in the state of Alabama. Thanks.
Floor is open for any questions you may have.
Can you all, I guess, shed some more light on just for like the average person? Like, is it preventative if they have been diagnosed with maybe a heart condition or diabetes or anything like that? And how can being able to be in a clinical trial change the trajectory of, their life?
So the thought process is really threefold. So what we want to do is inform on a patient's risk before they develop disease, and that's how we get to prevention. If you've already developed a disease, and we'll be first focused on coronary artery disease, type 2 diabetes, and breast cancer if you are a biological female. If you've already been diagnosed with a disease, you will also receive a pharmacogenomics report, which helps your provider choose the right medication for you based on your genetics, right? It helps you know which medications work best for your body. And then we will also be giving back an AC&G panel around the 84 genes that the genomic medicine, clinical genomic medicine has somewhere between 2 to 5% of the population. So we want to make sure that we're also informing on that as well. So it should cover you at all spectrums, whether you're pre-disease and you want to prevent disease, helping you understand how to do that. If you're in the throes of your disease, how do we help you take better care of your disease? And then also inform you on risks that you may not know that you have that are sitting in your genomic profile.
And if you end up saying you can be a part of a clinical trial, how could that potentially change the trajectory of someone's life after being diagnosed?
So clinical trials are, access to treatment, to cutting edge technology. We have standard of care and we have clinical trials. So if you're a patient that standard of care is not working well for you, or you would like to have another treatment, clinical trials is an option. It is a care option. And so when you start thinking about diseases such as cancer, diabetes, heart disease, clinical trials are really bringing forth treatments for patients and helping improve lives throughout our state, throughout the nation. And so making sure that we have access to that for patients who are in all 67 counties, whether you're in rural Perry County or Andalusia, making sure you have the same access as somebody who's in Huntsville, Mobile, or Jefferson County.
Take us through the average person. Let's say, so I go to my doctor, this is available, say tomorrow, just do it. So take me through the process of getting the blood drawn and then getting it analyzed. When do I hear back? How does that work?
So as a patient, if you'd like to participate, you'll be able to do so from your cell phone. There will be a portal and a website that you can go in. You'll create your own access account with your that is secured with your password. You'll be able to then consent for Catalyst and then tell us when your appointment is with your healthcare provider. What we want to do is work this into your normal routine of seeing your healthcare provider. You don't have to do anything different than what you would normally do. If you see your provider every 3 months or you see your provider once a year, You tell us when that visit is. We will send your healthcare provider a kit to be able to draw this test. And so when you're getting your other labs drawn, your lipid profile, your CBC, we would ask that you go ahead and draw that test. We'll provide free shipping back to CCTS here in Birmingham, and we'll take it from there. Your provider will place the order in their portal. They will have access to a MyM portal, which is why we're asking them to sign up at catalystby7research.org. And then the test results will get sent back to them just as your other test results get sent back. So they'll be able to then review those test results and incorporate that into your treatment plan. The important thing is that we've added access to genetic counselors. I'm a primary care pediatrician. I don't routinely do genetics in my everyday work. And so we want to make sure we're providing that extra resource both to providers and patients to help them understand what their test results are. So we're really trying to make this flow with what a normal provider visit would be.
And you may have something, you may not have something in the genetic. Because then sometimes you go to the doctor and they're like, if you don't hear from us, your test results are fine. But you'll have access to these no matter what.
Correct. So you may not have anything on your secondary findings panel, but we do expect for people to be able to benefit from what those risk score calculations are. So if I can tell you now what your risk is for coronary artery disease and diabetes, how does that help inform your care and the things that we should be doing to prevent those? If I can tell you now what medications work best for you and what don't work for you, when you go to the ER or urgent care, you can say, hey, this medication based on my genomics may not be the best for me. And so that empowers you to really be able to advocate for yourself and for your provider to advocate for you in your healthcare.
What demographics are most represented in clinical trials and with targeting rural areas potentially?
So currently, when you look at clinical trials, most of the data, more than 90% of the data is European males. So we're missing women, we're missing people of minority populations, we're missing rural populations. And so when Alabama is more than 45% rural, so many of us are being left out of that. And so we have the opportunity to change that in Alabama by providing access throughout the state and becoming a part of this data set. It then informs treatment plans going forward, but it also allows us to know what clinical trials we're eligible for and encourage people to participate.
And to participate, it sounds like you need a primary care provider. If you don't have that, a lot of people in those rural areas don't. How do you get involved?
So we've got a team of public health professionals who will be going throughout the state to community events. We'd love to know about any that you have in your area and helping connect patients to providers. We've gone through and found every free clinic, community clinic, FQHC, private office that is accepting patients. And so we will first connect patients back to primary care.
And sorry, last question. You mentioned that patient data would be stored securely. Do you guys have any IRB approval or?
We do have full IRB approval, and we will update that every year.
I do have another question, and this may be the Lieutenant Governor's question, but if you can just talk more about the importance of a healthy workforce, and then I know you all said, jobs. It'll bring jobs, but when you say that, what kind of jobs, and how will this impact, those in our community?
Yeah, I think first, just from the employer standpoint, you talk to employers out there. I mean, obviously, people when they're having to miss time away from work. I mean, that's what I'm talking about a healthy workforce. We want to do everything we can do to make sure people in Alabama are healthy. And I think this is such a great thing, right? I imagine if I'd have got this when I was a child, I probably found out I was allergic to penicillin, right? Instead of taking it and realizing the reaction to that. So I think just the, what they're doing here with technology and the impact this is going to have on people in Alabama, I'm really excited about just listening to, just thinking about all the potential that this is going to help people. You know that you got an issue with heart disease, okay, you can start exercising more, changing that with diet, right? Getting all potential drugs that can help you. So I think it's going to be a win just to make sure that people are healthy. And I think the benefit of that is you're going to be able to be more productive in the workforce. So, thank you.
Was this free to everybody? How is it being paid for?
Well, the state really made this possible through a $20 million grant through the American Rescue Plan Act. The city of Birmingham also contributed as well. But the goal really is initially to get through counties that are underrepresented in precision medicine. And so we want to make sure that we're going to the rest of the state first. So that $20 million is making this possible, and it'll run to the end of 2026. And we have some ideas on how we're going to sustain funding beyond that. And just to your question earlier, there, as the governor said, the bottom line is, we have a lower labor force participation rate than we should have in this state. And a big reason why is because we have, a lot of people who can't go to work because they're sick. This is going to create a lot of jobs, not just in terms of, you heard Dr. Brown talk about genetic counselors, that's one big place, but clinical trial coordination is a big one. Clinical care coordinators is another big one. This industry already supports about 8,000 jobs in the state. Most of those jobs are in city centers. If we can continue to grow and develop this capacity, it's our hope and belief that we can grow many more throughout the rest of the state.
Do you have an idea of how many jobs might be created?
We estimate that if we increased clinical trial expenditures in the state by 20%, specifically in the non-major metro areas, we could grow as many as 1,200 jobs. Other questions? Well, thank you all for being here. Thanks again for your time this morning, and we look forward to taking any additional questions up here at the top. Thanks so much.
And please feel free to join us in room 304 for refreshments. Thank you for coming, everyone.